Welcome to Boy Time Podcast. We're gonna get litty time, yeah. Oh, it's your Boy Time Podcast. Coming in with the slam dunk of a theme song.
Hi ho ho, it's me, Hugh Grant, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by Babby. We have a pretty slow week in terms of news. I do have a couple things to talk about, I suppose, for reviews. I watched a couple movies, and the new John Mulaney special came out. I think it came out today as of us recording, and I did watch it, and it was very interesting because I guess I don't know how well known it is. I feel like a lot of people forgot about it, but like John Mulaney in like 2020 and 2021, he had like this run where he was admitted into rehab, and then he divorced his wife, and then I think he got together with Olivia Munn, like right after they got divorced. So like a bunch of people were thinking that he was cheating on his wife, and then divorced her so that he could be public with Olivia Munn. I think that's who it was with. I don't know. I do not follow the drama, but he released a new special. He didn't talk about that. He didn't talk about the divorce. The whole thing was pretty much about his rehab stuff, which is probably the safer bet. So I'll talk about that. Then the only other thing that happened this week is CinemaCon. It's still going on, technically, I think, as of us recording this. But there's not a whole lot of interesting things in it. Like, there's a lot of movies that have been showed there that I'm pretty interested in, but, like, none of those things got that stuff that was released to the public. It was all like, oh, we're, behind closed doors, we got to look at Furiosa, that Mad Max Fury Road sequel, and like Spider-Verse and Barbie and what else was shown there? Chicken Run 2. So stuff I'm yes, stuff I'm actively excited for. I forgot that they were making a sequel to Chicken Run, but we got more confirmation. I guess there was a trailer shown, but we can't see it yet. But I guess we're going to start right away with CinemaCon, just because there's no gaming news. Like, CinemaCon is pretty much the only news we got this week in terms of movies and everything that I cover. Yeah, in terms of stuff kind of interesting, I suppose, we did, I guess I'll talk about Chicken Run too, just because... Chicken Run. If you want to know our thoughts about Chicken Run, we did do an entire commentary track on it.
I forgot we did that.
We did.
I'd love to go back and watch that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I have not gone back and used any of the commentary tracks as they were intended. It might be interesting to do now.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that we did that for a while, so I'd be interested to go back and like relook at those.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd be willing to rewatch any of those.
Except maybe Kangaroo Jack.
Kangaroo Jack.
Most popular video.
Kangaroo Jack is probably the best.
Let me check.
I think it's probably gotten surpassed by then, or by now.
It is. It is now our fourth most popular.
Oh, okay. What's
MGMT
number one?
beat them to the 10K race. So.
Well, that's more
we got
deserving.
MGMT, then we got Miracle Musical, then we got Kate Bush, and then it's Kangaroo Jack.
Oh, I didn't know Miracle Musical was that high.
Yeah, it's popping.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at our lineup of movies that we did commentary tracks for, and I'm not sure if I'd want to rewatch any of these, except it might be interesting to rewatch the Spy Kids movies with our commentary over it. or Chicken Run. The reason it came up, me and my girlfriend just finished watching Avatar. She had never seen it before.
What?
I know. Yeah. So she had never seen it, and I'm like, we should watch it. So we watched it. We just finished it. Great show. I feel like I don't really need to say that, but yeah, it's one of the best. That ending is so G-dang good. The Zuko and Iroh reunion is one of the best moments in TV history. But yeah, I was telling her, I was like, okay, so here's what's come out since then, and here's what's coming up, because we know that Netflix is doing their live action remake of the show, I guess. And then we know that Nickelodeon is working on the next Avatar show, so the Earth Avatar. We know they're working on that. And then we know that the original creators founded Avatar Studio, and they're making a movie that is The Gang, like 10 or 15 years after the events of The Last Airbender. So, pretty much only one of those is probably going to be good. I'll let you decide what it is, but it is the Netflix live action remake, because all of those are fantastic. But I was showing her clips of The Last Airbender, and I'm like, man, I forgot how bad this movie is. And we just watched it 3 years ago, I guess. Just watched it. But yeah, there was I showed her the scene that was like it took like 6 earthbenders to move a little pebble around. It's like, I don't know if you remember it. I just always remember that, like, it's right when they get to the Earth Kingdom for the first time, and they're trying to start a rebellion in Earth Kingdom City, and they're like, come on, fight, get Hope, you need to fight, he's the Avatar, and then it takes a choreographed little move to move a little pebble over, which is pretty impressive, if you ask me. But yeah, so we were, so I brought up that we did a commentary track for it, and then I had to explain what that was, because she's like, why would you do that? I said, well, that's a good question, but we did do it.
Why do we do anything?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let us live.
Yeah.
We don't have much going on, okay?
Yeah,
let us have our little fun.
This was over COVID.
Yeah.
Like,
We were
what
going
else were
crazy
we
over
gonna
COVID.
do?
We did like 14 different series in like a year and a half.
Yeah, we're more refined now.
Yeah.
We were really throwing anything to the wall to see what stuck, and nothing really did. And then the music stuff, like, we did that later, like a year after the fact. But I don't think there was a time where we were doing commentary tracks and the music series at the same time.
I don't think so.
I think there was a little bit of a break. But yes, so if you want to rewatch Chicken Run before the new one comes out in the fall, it stars Thandiwe Newton, Zachary Levi, and Bella Ramsey. Fresh off of The Last of Us, she's gonna be in a Chicken Run too.
Let's go.
Probably the best.
That's such an upgrade for her.
I would say so. So then you could rewatch it with the Boy Time commentary track. You're gonna have to go to our main channel and then go to the playlists section, and there you'll be able to find all of our unlisted videos, all of our different series and stuff. And then you can go to commentary tracks, and I believe there's instructions in the description if you want to do that. So there you go. In other CinemaCon news, we're going to do the stuff that's kind of interesting first, and then we'll do a special Who Asked for This section of CinemaCon, because there is a great deal of stuff. Hugh Grant is the Oompa Loompa. I don't know what that means. It was not clear. Like, all of these articles that have come out addressing Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. They are not specific as to whether or not this is more Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is the most confusing sequel remake name.
Yeah.
It's like, which one's which? I believe Willy Wonka is the older one, and Charlie
so.
is the Tim Burton one. The Tim Burton one is really weird and not as good as the old one. Even though, I guess if honestly, if I was going to make anybody remake the Willy Wonka movie, it would probably be Tim Burton, but it would be Tim Burton like 10 years before he made it. But because by the
I
time
want a Wes Anderson version.
ooh, that would be good too. Yeah, that would have been a better fit because at that point, Tim Burton's he was burnt out and he was done making good movies. I think he made Ed Wood and then he just checked out, which is fine because Ed Wood is fantastic. So I don't know what Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa means. I don't know what it means for the future of the franchise. If you want to call Willy Wonka a franchise, I don't. But I guess that's the world we live in now. There is the new Willy Wonka movie with Timothée Chalamet. I probably will watch it, just because I don't know. Maybe, depending on what the trailer is. It looks like it's gonna be more Tim Burton-y style than, I don't even know who directed the original one. The original, just because like the one still we've seen from it is like Timothy in like the suit, and it's not as like, I mean, obviously it's not as bright and colorful as the old one is, like with that Technicolor filter over it. Everything is really poppy. It's very I don't want to say it's grungy, but it does kind of feel like one of those like early 2010s, like whenever they would remake movies in the 2010s, they would make it really dark and grungy, which I guess Tim Burton did do a lot of. He did the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then he did the Alice in Wonderland thing. And then I think Sam Raimi made like an Oz the Great and Powerful, and that was the last movie he made for a really long time, until he made Doctor Strange 2, which is sad, but true. So, yeah, I don't think we got any other news about Willy Wonka except Hugh Grant is an Oompa Loompa. So, very interested in that. David I've never been clear on how to pronounce this man's last name. Is it Zaslav?
No idea.
Zavlov. I'm just going to call him Zavlov, even though that's definitely not how you pronounce his name. David Zavlov says that Warner Brothers has no longer have any interest in doing direct-to-streaming movies, which is weird considering they're starting a new streaming service. I don't know what this move is. This guy needs to be ousted. I think the entire board needs to get removed because this company is making the worst choices ever, I think. I don't know. Like, I guess I could have put this in Who Asked for This, but this is honestly just more interesting than it is like sad, or usually what we put Who Asked for This, it's like it's a little bit disappointing that I have to talk about it. This is more like, okay, this is such a 180 from like their stance in 2021. Warner Brothers was like the first studio to be like, we are going to release all of our major movies day one on HBO Max, as well as in theaters. And granted, this was during the pandemic, so there was a little bit of an incentive to do that because people didn't want to leave their houses. But it's so weird to have that quick turnaround where now in 2 years they're like, we're not even going to make any movies for our new streaming service, let alone release our big name titles outside of the theaters. And I guess the theater system is back. I thought for a second it was gonna die. Like straight up, like AMC filed for bankruptcy. They had to get bought out by like this Chinese corporation. Like I was, convinced that eventually streaming was going to take over, and then, theater chains would more or less be like video stores and just kind of be a thing of the past. Turns out that's not the case. I don't know. Some people I know hate going to the movie theaters. I do enjoy going to the movies. I would be kind of sad if they went out of business, but also I do like watching movies at home. And, I don't like it's kind of a big, it's a big deal. It's like, I gotta go, gotta talk to people. I have people staring at me as I'm walking to go see the Mario movie by myself, which I didn't do, but theoretically. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what everyone else is doing. I mean, I think at this point everyone's not releasing their stuff on streaming until like months after. I think even Disney has like kind of abandoned that model that they were doing, where you could like rent their new movies on Disney Plus for $20, which granted that probably shouldn't have even been a move in the first place, but yeah, feels like everyone's going full hog in the theater game, which is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess you can make of it what you will. Now it's time to move to who asked for this news. The first one is, I'll leave the most disappointing one for last. The first one we're going to talk about is that they're making another SpongeBob movie, but this one's all about Sandy Cheeks. It's called Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. Yeah, I don't. It looks like it's in that. What's it? Well, not Sponge Out of Water, but the newer one. I don't know what it's called. Gary, where are you?
That was an episode.
I don't know. If I search SpongeBob movie, it's just gonna be the old one probably. Movie 3.
What, 3 of them now?
Sponge on the Run is what that one's called. Now the fourth one is going to be the Sandy Cheeks movie. That's going straight to Netflix on 2024, which is weird.
Yeah. Well, let's not use Paramount Plus.
Right. That's exact. Paramount, I believe, owns Nickelodeon, so it's very weird that this is coming straight to Netflix, but I guess whatever. So, yeah, I don't think we know much about it other than it was announced that it's coming out next year. We got word that Beetlejuice 2 is in the works at Warner Brothers, speaking of Tim Burton, I suppose. Yeah, I think there's only one person in the world who was asking for this, and that's Michael Keaton, who played Beetlejuice. I know he's like in every single interview he's ever given after Beetlejuice, someone will ask him like, "Hey, would you ever be in a Beetlejuice 2?" And he's like, "Oh yeah. I've been like calling Tim Burton every single day. I want this movie made bad." So Michael Keaton's probably really happy. I don't know if anyone else is. Does anyone care about this?
I would not imagine so.
I don't know. I've seen Beetlejuice. It's not really open for a sequel, and I mean, I don't even care enough about the first Beetlejuice movie. I don't know. I know a lot of people like really like that movie, but it's not one where like I see a lot of like nostalgia for, like Ghostbusters or an Indiana Jones or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if they're gonna dig Tim Burton out of his early grave for him to direct it. After directing the hit Dumbo remake, I feel like he's more or less become a director for hire type thing, kind of like John Carpenter in the 2000s, where he just didn't care anymore. So yeah, we got that, and another remake, which is very disappointing, is they are remaking The Color Purple, Steven
Hooray.
Spielberg's hit film. It's a landmark movie in many different ways. It launched the careers of both Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah. Somehow they both ended up on talk shows. Don't ask me how that
Yeah, they
happened.
both ended up being pretty bad. Now they're just like some of the most annoying people out there.
Yeah. Whoopi Goldberg can act. Oprah, was she in other movies after The Color Purple? Or was it just straight to
I know that was her
Chicago
big
talk
one.
show?
I feel like there wasn't a lot.
Yeah. I feel like that, yeah. So, yeah, they're remaking the movie. It's coming out this Christmas, which is kind of crazy that we haven't heard anything about it until now. Maybe they knew what kind of reaction it would get. Surprise, I don't know. Suffice it to say, they should not remake this movie. I think that the original movie is it's kind of hard to watch, but it's very good. It's I don't know. There was that period in Spielberg's filmography where it was like the late 80s and early 90s. He kind of got really sad and he stopped making fun blockbusters and he made movies to bum people out like Schindler's List and The Color Purple and Saving Private Ryan.
Bangers.
I mean, yeah, they're good movies, but man, cause that's going
That's
from
the
like
range right there.
I know. Well, yeah, it's like I'm gonna make E.T. and Goonies, and then like a couple years later, I'm gonna make Schindler's List. Yeah, he's got the range. There's a reason he's one of the best ever, I would say. I'm not a fan of his 2000s run where he was making like anti-terrorism movies. Like I saw which one? It's about like the Olympic ransom thing about the Israeli athletes. Spielberg Israel movie. Oh, okay. Munich, that's it. Yeah, it's 2005 cultural phenomena about the 11 Israeli athletes the 1972 Olympics that were murdered. I think the movie is about like the Israeli Secret Service assassinating Palestinian people or something. I think that's what it is.
It
Yeah.
happens every day. So
Yeah. I don't remember it very much. I remember I was watching it. They were doing a screening at my school and I was watching it and I think I got like sick halfway through. And then I came back.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I missed a whole lot and then I remember that it ends. It ends. You're going to love this ending. It's like this guy, he's like, maybe I shouldn't be assassinating all these Palestinians. Like, maybe we shouldn't be taking out all of our anger on all of these innocent people when it was just a couple of extremists that killed these athletes. And then he's like standing in a grave, like a graveyard. And then he looks behind him, and it's New York City, and the Twin Towers are right there. And this movie came out in 2005.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
White man's burden at its
White
finest,
man's
baby.
burden. I'm not sure if I mean I missed a lot, so I'm not sure if it's a pro or anti Israel slash Iraq war movie.
Well, what they do with these movies is like they will have the message that's somewhat like that, but then they portray it as this is just a couple of bad actors and not the whole thing. That's how they kind of get away with it.
Yeah, I
So
could
it's
see
probably
that.
not a pro-Israel movie, but it's not a pro-Palestine movie, if that makes
No,
sense.
no, it's not a pro
Yeah.
Palestine movie. And I'm not sure. I know Spielberg is Jewish, so
Mhm.
yeah, I know he probably wouldn't be. I don't know his history. I just know I've seen The Fablemans, which he says is not a autobiographical, but it is.
I mean, he
So,
worked with Kubrick, so he's got to be some level of based.
oh yeah, that's true. I don't, I don't know if he worked with Kubrick. He just directed
Oh
the
yeah,
script that Kubrick
true,
wrote.
true.
Yeah, Kubrick, I don't know. He's a weird dude.
He was a weird dude.
I didn't end up watching Eyes Wide Shut. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I could not. I did not have the willpower to watch it, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of CinemaCon stuff. We do have a little bit of news. I'm not sure what this is. But it was announced, I think it was late last week, that Quentin Tarantino is presenting this year's secret screening at Cannes. And the only hint he gave was that the film will give a rockabilly vibe on Cannes' closing day.
I
Don't
can
know
just
what that
imagine him
means.
saying that.
Yeah, you totally can. I thought that this was gonna be his new. I thought like when I first read that, I'm like, oh, is he screening his new movie? But he's just presenting this this secret screening. Nobody knows what it is. People are saying it might be a new David Lynch project, just because that's been rumored for a really long time. And David Lynch has not been on the weather report or been doing his usual hijinks. He hasn't done the weather since December. So he's been gone for a really long time. Nobody's heard anything from him except when he said, "Don't tell me about Dune." So nobody knows where he is. So maybe he's in France getting his secret screening ready. Although I wouldn't describe a David Lynch movie as having a rockabilly vibe.
You never know.
I never know though.
He could switch it up.
He could. Maybe this is going to be his least Lynchian movie ever, and it's just going to be like a Johnny Cash biopic or something.
That'd be a turn. I
That
feel
would
like as
be
you get older and you're like that crazy at like your storytelling, I feel like you just go off the deep end to the point of like incoherency.
sure. Yeah, that's what Orson Welles did.
Yeah, exactly. He had a couple of screws loose over
Oh,
a while.
you seen that wine commercial he was in?
Yeah.
Ooh boy, that's one of my favorite things of all time. That wine commercial starring Orson Welles. I love that like he he was in that wine commercial and then he recorded lines to be Optimus Prime in the Transformers
So weird.
movie and then he died. It's like the fastest run of I don't know. I don't know what was going on with Orson Welles. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe this will be a new Orson Welles project. Probably is. I honestly I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know what could possibly be having a rockabilly vibe. I would have maybe said like the new Wes Anderson movie, but we already know that's going to be at Cannes. I don't think they would have that be the secret screening. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that is. Let me see when Cannes is this year. I think it's coming up. Oh yeah, it's next month. It is May 16th through May 27th. So just a couple weeks away. Well, it'll be on the last day, so it'll be on May 27th, but we'll know soon enough, I suppose. But that is it for news this week. It was just those two things. I don't know what to talk about. I guess I'll get the John Mulaney special out of the way since I probably won't have a whole lot to say about it. Yes, John Mulaney it's being heralded as his first post-rehab special on Netflix. It's called Baby J, which I don't remember if that's a callback to any of his other specials because it's been a very long time since I've seen them. But the special was entirely about his drug addiction and his experiences in rehab, and it was very funny, but it was also like it was the realest I've ever seen him, which is weird. I'm used to John Mulaney being kind of like a real quirky type guy, doing all sorts of funny voices, but he was more or less just him on a giant stage in Boston talking about his drug addiction. I would say it's probably like a mix between like one of his usual specials and then like that Dave Chappelle special where it's just like him in a really small comedy thing in like Texas. I forget which one that one is. Like the Bird Revelation or something. One of my favorites. One of my favorite comedy specials just because of how low key it is. But I guess a non-problematic example would be Gerard Carmichael's new special. I think it's called Rothaniel. It's very, very good. Visuals by Bo Burnham, by the way. Just going to throw that out there. I know the Zoomers love Bo Burnham.
All you Zoomers and millennials out there.
Yeah. It was funny. John Mulaney had a bit about that in his new special where he's like, I forgot what he was like doing an impression of like someone leaving a review of the stand-up special, and he's like, kids these days love Bo Burnham because he's less problematic. And then John Mulaney, I'm like, I guess there was a very brief period of time in between Make Happy and Inside where John Mulaney was the hit stand-up guy that all the Zoomers were talking about. A very brief period. I feel like John Mulaney's also kind of theater core. I feel like a lot of theater kids...
You have to be if you're a comedian. There's no way.
Pretty much, yeah. True. And maybe it's just because like I knew a lot of people that were in theater and they all love John Mulaney. So I don't know. maybe I just have that association. But yeah, I watched this special. I think it's very good. It's different from all of his usual specials, but and when it comes to comedy, stand up especially, I really like more intimate stuff. I love storytelling, and really low key stuff. Which I mean, like he's playing like this really really big theater, but the way that it's shot, it feels like a really intimate thing. And the stuff he's talking about is, he's kind of showing all his secrets. Like, he doesn't really hold back, which I appreciate. So, yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone. I guess if John Mulaney fans will probably have already seen it, but I think it's worth it if you're somewhat into stand-up. You haven't, or if you have maybe tried John Mulaney before and you haven't really liked it, I would give this new one a shot, maybe. I think it's pretty G-dang good. So, there you go. I'm going to say that, and then, I don't know, he's going to do something crazy next week and get canceled. But whatever. I think it's pretty good work. So, two movies I watched this week. One I have a glowing recommendation for, and the other one I didn't like very much at all. Those two movies are Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and Cabaret. I wonder
Oh my
which
god, I
one.
love Cameron.
Here, I had very high expectations for Cabaret,
Oh god.
and they were shattered. I did
Yeah.
not like it very much at all. We'll talk about Cabaret first, just because I have less to say. But I don't know if you know this. I don't know how well known this is.
I do know Cabaret.
I know you know Cabaret,
Yeah.
but I don't. It came out in 1972. That is the same year that The Godfather came out,
Yes.
and Cabaret swept. The Godfather won. I think it won 2 or 3 Oscars. Brando won for acting, which he turned down famously, and then John Wayne had to be held back when the Native American lady said, "You guys are always having us be the bad guys in your westerns. You guys should maybe treat us with respect." And then she was booed off the stage, and yeah, Marlon Brando's career kind of ended after that because he was right. I don't I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I think it won Best Picture, and I think it won Best Direct. No, it lost Best Director, because you can watch that when Cabaret wins Best Director, you can see Francis Ford Coppola squirming in his seat because he's so pissed. It's like watching James Cameron lose to Catherine Bigelow for Avatar, where you can just see it. But yeah, Cabaret. Let me see how many. It won 8 Oscars. So yeah, it swept. But yeah, it did not win Best Picture. Godfather won Best Picture, and then Cabaret won pretty much everything else. And I read the premise of Cabaret, and I was very, very interested because the premise is fantastic. So it takes place in Berlin in 1931. So the Nazis have taken over, but it's like very, very early in that. Like the Nazis have claimed power, but like the crazy hasn't started yet. So the focus is on this cabaret bar in Berlin, which hosts all sorts of kooky characters. There's like transsexual people and cross dressers. So, people that the Nazis did not much care for. So it focuses on Liza Minnelli, who I've only seen in Arrested Development as Lucille too. So it was nice to see her in a when she was it was kind of weird to see her in a role where she was young and did not have vertigo and was not dating a man that was like 30 or 40 years her very younger than her. But yeah, she's like a singer at this cabaret bar, and I would like to say that she's the main character, but that's not true. The main character is this English tutor who is not interesting at all. He is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. He doesn't like the Nazis, and he may or may not be gay. But it's never, I don't think it's ever explicitly said, but he does date Liza Minnelli, and they do have sex, so I don't know how gay he is, but I don't know. So we focus in on this guy for like the entire movie, and then like the Nazi stuff, it's just in the background. And in my opinion, that is the most interesting thing.
It's so weird.
The most interesting thing in the premise of this movie is how these people in this cabaret bar are affected by the Nazi takeover and Nazi ideals starting to sweep the nation, even in liberal haven Berlin. Especially in liberal haven Berlin.
Yes.
And So here's the thing. It's very interesting in the way it does its music. And I know that you are usually not a fan of musicals, because, when they just start singing in the middle of nowhere, it's weird, kind of takes you out of it.
Cabaret at least fits.
Cabaret
Because of the
fits,
premise. Yeah.
and the musical numbers aren't like sprung out. Like the characters in Cabaret do not sing. Whenever a
Mm.
musical number happens, it is framed in the cabaret bar, and it is usually not the characters who are affected by the situation that are singing it. It's just like there's songs that are sung in this cabaret bar they just so happen to be applicable to the story. Yeah.
That makes
Unless
sense as a musical.
it,
In my mind, I'm like, yes, justified.
yes. And I think that's a great idea.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I didn't like the music at all.
Yeah, the music's not very good. I remember, I think my senior class did that play, and the music was just atrocious.
I'm not a fan of the music. There was one good song, and I regret to say this because it's gonna make me sound horrible. But the one good song was sung by the Nazis. And I don't know what that says about me. But yeah, the music wasn't very good. I mean, Liza Minnelli's fantastic. She's a great singer. And she has this one number at like the very end that's like really, I mean, that one's really good too. So I guess I like two songs. The Nazi song and then the last song. But yeah, she's fantastic in it. She slays, as that one actress from Ant-Man 4 said about Jane Fonda. One of my favorite interviews, I think I've seen. I don't know how widespread that is. Whether there's the chick that looks like Demetra from Spy Kids 3. She went on like this radio show in LA, and she's like, Jane Fonda, dare I say, she slays. And then like it's two like 60-year-old, like a man and a woman, and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then she's like,
Speak
she
English.
slays, you get it. Like Jane Fonda slays. I'm like, what is this? What does this mean? It's very funny because then she keeps saying it as if
Oh
that
my God.
explains what she's saying. But yeah, it's very funny. But Liza Minnelli, dare I say, she slays. But yeah, the most interesting thing about this movie is not the focus of it. Instead, the focus is this Aryan boy dating Liza Minnelli as Liza Minnelli dates another Aryan boy. So there's two Aryan boys. It's like a throuple, and they have sex with each other. I think it's said that like the English tutor man, the main character, he's also having sex with this other Aryan boy. But then the other Aryan boy, he's like a duke. He's some sort of leadership in the Weimar Republic, and he has to flee. It's never said that he has to flee. It's like, oh, I am leaving the country, but like, yeah, he was probably expelled, or worse. I don't know. This is the Nazis we're talking about. So, yeah, I don't know why that was the story and not the Nazi stuff, because that is.
Like, here's a fun backdrop for this story that's somewhat unrelated.
Yeah, I mean, like the characters are anti-Nazi, so there's that, but like, yeah, there's like one scene where like the main character like kicks down a Nazi flag, and then he has like a cast on, and he like got beat up
I
by the
did my part.
Nazis. But yeah, like you never see like the Nazis, like there's Nazis in the cabaret bar, but like you never see them like, you know, I don't even know what I would want. I'd want to see the Nazis interact more with the denizens of this cabaret bar, because I feel like that's the most interesting thing, and you don't really see it. And what we do see is a polyamorous relationship between three people, and two of them look the same. except one has a little mustache. So, yeah, not into it at all. So I would say that you could probably skip on Cabaret. Unfortunately, I went in with the highest of expectations. I don't know why. I was really excited to see this movie, and it was kind of boring. But I guess the one good thing to come out of Cabaret, in like the Oscars, when they, Liza Minnelli won for this, when like the presenter was like, and Liza Minnelli from Cabaret, who's also Judy Garland's daughter, like insinuating like she's only nominated because she's Judy Garland's daughter. When Liza Minnelli won and she went up to accept the award, she's like, "Thank you for giving me my award that I won by myself." Like, she really emphasizes that
Oh my
she's like,
God.
this is me. I did it. Like, I'm not totally a Nepo baby, pretty much, before that was a thing. So, yeah, I think that's probably one of the best acceptance speeches. You got two great acceptance speeches that year from Liza, and then I always forget what the Native American lady is named.
Yeah, I forgot her name.
She just
She
died.
just died like last year, yeah.
Yeah, like recently, and then the Academy put out a statement.
Which is hilarious.
It's a little insulting, considering how the movie industry and especially the Academy treated her.
Yeah.
Like, she got blamed for it way more than Marlon Brando did. When arguably,
That's like when the CIA was like, "Happy MLK Day."
oh yeah, yeah,
The FBI or whatever account did that.
I think it was the FBI.
That'd make more sense if the FBI, but
Yeah, that's the only reason I think it would be them, because that would make more sense in
yeah.
the irony
Maybe
of
they
it
use the
all.
CIA as a proxy where it's like, okay, this won't be as weird.
Not as weird.
Insulting.
So, yeah. And then the other movie I watched was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Yes, I am too. I didn't know who Virginia Woolf was, and it doesn't really matter. I think she was like a writer in like the late 1800s. If I look up, maybe I'll recognize one of her works. Virginia Woolf. I don't know any of these. This is like early 1900s, okay. Like 1920s. She was writing in the Great Depression. So this movie has nothing to do with Virginia Woolf. It is about two characters, a husband and a wife. They get home from party. The husband is a professor of history at this prestigious college, and the wife is the daughter of the president of the university. And so the president of the university puts together this big party, and, the husband and the wife, they have a rocky relationship. They, well, I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of twists and turns in this movie. But they are, they're a little drunk, they're a little buzzed, they're coming home from this party. It's 2 a.m. The husband wants to nap. He is exhausted. Well, not nap. I guess he just wants to go to sleep. If it's 2 a.m., you're going to sleep. He's very sleepy, and the wife is pestering him. Nagging wife, you know how it is.
Am I right?
Am I right, fellas? But it's not like she's nagging. She's just like, she's like referencing this movie that I think Betty Dave. No, I forget what old movie star it is. But she's like referencing this movie, and she's like, "Oh, what's that movie? What's that movie?" And he's like, "I have no idea what movie you're talking about." And this scene goes on for like 2 or 3 minutes, where she's like trying to pry this movie out of him, and she's like giving more details, and then she's like doing this impression again, and he's like, this isn't helping. I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never seen this movie." And so then he's like, whatever, I'm just going to go to sleep. And then she's like, why are you going to go to sleep? We're about to have guests over. And he's like, what the hell? Why are we going to have guests over? I'm so tired. And it turns out that the wife invited it's like a new professor and his wife over for, I guess, like a nightcap or something. I'm not sure. It just invited them over for drinks to, I guess, keep the party going. And the husband is pissed because he's sleepy and he wants to go to bed. But, so they get into a little fight and then the doorbell rings. And it gets off the rails. I think I would describe this movie. It's like that episode of The Office where it's like the dinner party at Michael's house where it's really awkward because Michael and Jan are in a fight the entire time. And that one scene in Marriage Story where Adam Driver punches a wall. It's like if that scene was an entire movie. It's fantastic. Because I like depressing. It's not really depressing. It's just kind of stressful. But I get off on that secondhand embarrassment. I am a big fan of that. That it's not even humor, but this isn't really humor. It's just secondhand embarrassment. I don't think it's supposed to be funny. But yeah, it's just like this couple like fighting while they have this other couple over. And it's just like a constant game of one-upping each other where it's like, oh, you did something bad, well, I'm gonna do something worse. And it just keeps going until like by the end of the movie, I think the end shot is like the sun coming up. Like you can see the sun coming up out the window and the wife is just like crying. Yeah, not gonna spoil anything because I think this is a fantastic movie. But yeah, it's a good one. If you're into like family, I guess family melodrama, it's more like watching a relationship fall apart. And kind of this other couple's relationship, like it's tested too, just by virtue of being in the same room with these people. So I'd highly recommend it. It's about to get removed from HBO Max, so if you're watching this before May 1st, which I'm not giving you a bunch of time, but I would recommend it. It's not very long. I think it's only an hour and a half. I'd say it's well worth it. It's black and white, so if that's your thing, there you go. I think it was made in like the 70s, so they had color. It was 66. Still, they had color. They deliberately made it black and white, kind of like what Alfred Hitchcock did with Psycho, where it's like you make Vertigo, which has like the weirdest color stuff ever, and then this next movie is in black and white. I don't know who made this movie. Mike Nichols, I guess. Oh, he made The Graduate. Okay. He made The Graduate 1 year after this, so that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, recommend that movie a lot. But that's all I have to talk about. I'll throw it on over to James' section now.
Cool.
Thank
We actually
you.
have some music this week,
Nuh-uh.
which is surprising. It's not like a whole lot, but
Oh.
more than has been.
Okay.
We got not a new album, but a release on streaming. Genesis and the Alchemist No Idols mixtape from like 2012 finally got added to streaming.
Oh.
On 420 of all days.
Oh.
Really, really great. I mean, it's Alchemist, so there's a level of quality there no matter what. Genesis in 2012 was like, great mixtape material. Fantastic. It's still got that kind of early 2010s feel, but it's not dated as a lot of other mixtapes from that period are. Fantastic features from Earl Sweatshirt's all over this thing. Action Bronson's on here twice. Vince Staples is on here. Tyler's on here. I don't know how I haven't heard this before. I feel like I should have known about this, but oh well.
Oh, wow.
but it's on streaming now, so hopefully more people can listen to it because I really enjoyed it. Um, I mean, when it comes to Alchemist, there's not really anything that I don't like from him, so kind of a given right there. But yeah, pretty great. I'd be interested to see if he's going to do that with more mixtapes, because I'm sure with his longevity, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other mixtapes I've not heard from him yet that aren't on streaming services, but very good. So I don't think it's too long either. Yeah, it's like 35 minutes, so check it out.
Okay.
What else? We got the first single from Killer Mike's new album, which has kind of been talked about the past couple of weeks. I think he had a listening party a couple of weeks ago. But this one is with LP, so it's a Run the Jewels song without LP production. Still slaps. It sounds really, really, really good. I kind of like the more, it's not sample heavy, but kind of that kind of vibe production. I have not heard Killer Mike off of an LP beat on a solo song in forever. Besides, he did that thing with Young Thug or last year. I think that's, yeah. He did that song with Young Thug last year, and then the weird music video with Dave Chappelle in it for some reason, which was okay. But the song is so much better than that.
Yeah.
Killer Mike's an anomaly because like he'll do very questionable things and then come out swinging the next time. So I like the music, so I'm
Yeah.
there with him on that. So yeah, I'm excited for this record. I don't know when exactly it's coming out, but I do know that there's a song with I think it's an Andre 3000 Future features on it. So I'm
Oh.
very excited for that.
Okay.
Any new Andre is where I'm going. So
Of course.
so that was really good. Chat Pile has 2 new songs. They did like this kind of EP that was like 2 songs from another band and then 2 songs from them, which was interesting. But it's Brothers in Christ is the EP. Both of the songs that Chappelle did pretty good. I did not listen to the other band's songs yet. I just did not think of doing that because Chappelle's all I'm interested in. I don't know if it's anything better than what's on God's Country. I mean, it's still heavy and nasty and all you want from that. But it didn't strike me as hard. I feel like Cut's kind of the better song. I love when they just kind of get super grimy and just overload the mix with just everything. Definitely more heavy rock than metal on these two, but they're still pretty sick. Heavy rock, noise rock, metal, they do all of it pretty good. So hopefully they're like one of those bands that have now picked up steam, so they'll kind of like release material more often. I'm assuming that's the route they're going. They've been pretty busy since 2019, so definitely excited to keep listening to them because they're like one of my favorite metal outlets right now. And then today we actually have good podcast timing for once in our lives. Thundercat and Tame Impala released a song together,
Oh,
and it is fantastic.
that's an interesting
amazing.
combination.
It is. It's like a perfect combination. I don't know how this hasn't happened yet. The cover art's great. It's just an Impala chasing a cat.
A cheetah.
Big cat. But that's great. I'd love to see these two like work on an album together or something, because like it just fits so well. I mean,
Yeah.
even just like Kevin's vocals and Thundercat's vocals match up pretty well. So I feel like that vibe's already there. But that one's great. So it feels like an equal part song from both of them. It's not like just a Tame Impala song with Thundercat supporting bass line. It's the whole package. So really great. Came out of nowhere, but I'm very happy that exists.
Okay. Any new Thundercat, I'll take.
True.
Yeah.
And this is the first Tame Impala song that's new in a while, I think, too. He's been kind of like slowing down a lot since 2020. I know he had like that remix album last year of the Slow Rush, but that's pretty much it. So I'm hoping this is on one of their new albums. I don't know which I'd prefer, a new Thundercat or a new Tame Impala album. I want a joint album. I don't. Give me a collab album.
Yeah. They should do that.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. But that's pretty much in the music sphere. Listen to that Caroline Polachek. We'll have that video out next week.
It's very good.
Should be a very good video. I really enjoyed that. So
Yeah, it's good stuff.
we have a good epic. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if I really have any music news coming up. It's been pretty slow again. I think The Weeknd did something this
Yeah, I
week.
have not listened to it. It's like dark fantasy, I think.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know if that's like with his new TV show or whatever.
it is. Yeah,
I
I
tend to
think.
not listen to The Weeknd stuff that isn't on mainline albums because I feel like the quality is a lot lower.
Yes, it is with Future though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think Metro Boomin's on production too, so it might be good.
it might be good.
It's probably just the heroes and villains left over, or a Dawn FM left over, if I'm being honest, since it's for a TV show.
Well, I think he's making the soundtrack
Oh, okay.
to his show. Yeah,
Gotcha.
which I think is June 1st, if I remember right.
Sometime soon, yeah.
Yeah, I people like the music video came out for it, and I've seen people talk about it. Was like, now I'm excited for the Idol. I don't know.
Yeah, I tend not to listen to his non-album stuff because it's just not interesting to me.
No,
It always feels lesser quality. That's where like his mainstream pop appeal comes out.
yeah, and it's
where
not
it's like
not as good.
Just kind of an AI could make this song type thing.
Yeah, that song he made for Avatar 2 was kind of hot ga, if you will.
Yeah. But he's a great album artist, so
Oh, yeah,
which is
for sure.
surprising for someone as big as him. It's usually the opposite way.
Right.
But yeah, I was kind of excited because I was like, "Ooh, this might be from the last of this new trilogy he's got going." And then I forgot he was doing this TV show thing.
No, well, he's got a TV show and a movie, I think, on the works, I believe.
Okay.
He's been him and A24 look like they're gonna be
Oh yeah,
working
I forgot about
together.
that.
Yeah. So I might check out this new show. I don't know. There's so
Yeah.
much stuff out.
It just looks like Euphoria if The Weeknd made it, so I don't know. If
Yeah,
I'm too interested.
I-
It'll probably just be House of Balloons, the TV show.
That's probably it. Yeah. I don't know anything about it. I can't say I'm too interested in it, but I might see it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but who knows? But that came out. Did not listen to it. I don't know if I will.
I might. I
Just to
don't
be
know.
completely honest.
Yeah.
Mac DeMarco also released a 199 song album this week. That I did not listen to because it is 8 hours and 40 minutes.
I don't think anyone was expecting.
Honestly,
it
if
to.
anybody does this is great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But
Someone should listen
I don't
to
think
it.
any sane person will do this, especially when the song titles aren't even song titles; they're just random, like file names.
Yeah.
I guess it's dated for each song. So I guess it's like 5 years of demos or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. At least if you title your song a date like that and there's multiple songs like that, I'm assuming it's a demo or an outtake and not an actual song. That's just kind of how that reads. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know because I am not listening to
No.
that. I do not have the time or the energy. No album should be that long.
No. I would. There's no way. It's not like it's it's not like an album experience. It's probably just a compilation of stuff he has in the vault.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. It's like when these artists like brag that they have like thousands of songs in their hard drive. This dude's like, all right, let me put them out. He backed it up.
It's true.
Nobody's gonna listen to it, but he backed it up at least.
You can theoretically.
You can if you want to.
Yeah.
You're like, what's your favorite song on the new Mac DeMarco record? 2173554. It's track 130.
Oh, that one. That's my
You know the one.
favorite too. I like 98 though.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
He's been kind of having a weird trajectory. He did like this weird instrumental tape, I think earlier this year. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah, 5 Easy Hot Dogs was the name of his last one this year. So
5 easy hot dogs.
that's yep.
Okay. I don't know anything about Mac DeMarco.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with his music. He just seems like that another, indie rock, like folky kind of guy.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to check out. I don't know. He's like one of those artists where like when people only listen to hip hop and they're like, no, I don't. I listen to Mac DeMarco too. He's like that kind of artist.
I could see that.
It's like the Tame Impala of that kind of brand of music. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
pretty
could
much
see
it.
that.
Yeah. So that's all. That's it for music. I will have a new segment next week. Dun dun. I
For
don't have a name for
episode
it yet.
200.
For episode 200. This will be like a mini pilot this week, just so people know what's happening. But we talk a lot about music, entertainment news, movies, TV shows.
This is true.
And a lot of it involves big company mergers and all these really weird things that we have to talk about because it directly affects the things that are being produced.
It
Oftentimes
affects
for the
art.
worst. It
Yes.
affects art largely.
Yes.
So I want to button end the podcast like just an ending segment. People don't have to watch it because it will be very kind of political. I do want to do a segment that's just kind of basically tackling different things that I'm learning or topics that stood out as interesting or anything that we can relate to directly to the industries we talk about or
Sure.
something around there. It's kind of open-ended. It's going to be like, an anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist based perspective. So I will clear my biases right away.
Did you mean is based a
No.
adjective or okay. It is
I did
a
not mean based like
anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist based.
It is based.
It
but
is
that's not
based.
the context I was using it.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up.
Yes. You can take that either way as you want, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Both work. But that's kind of what I've been wanting to do just because, I work an office job and that allows me to listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks. So
There you go.
there's nothing better to do when you're wage slaving away than to be educating yourself. And that's what I've been doing for the past probably 6 or 7 months at this point, vigorously. So
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of have a couple of ideas cooking already. It won't be like news based. I feel like that is very timely and not helpful in the long run. If there's something
Yes.
interesting that happens, we can talk about it. But I mean, it's not going to be something like that. You can go elsewhere for that, and you don't have to wait an hour and a half every podcast to get to that section.
Yes. I think ideally I want to move the podcast away from being something timely.
Yeah.
I would like our podcast to be something that has value going back to. Because, like, right now,
Right.
I'm not sure there's any reason to go back and re listen to episodes that came out like 3 months ago because everything, or like at least most of what we're talking about, is new stuff that is coming out around that time. So I want to move the podcast more into being something that people can look
Go back
at.
to.
Yeah, like look at the title, look at the thumbnail if you're watching this on YouTube, and be like, oh, okay, there's stuff in here that I'm interested in. I can go back and kind of jump around. So
Yeah. So that's kind of the synopsis for it. So instead of talking about Tucker Carlson leaving Fox News, we can talk about how Tucker Carlson is a failed CIA agent turned media guy. So
what?
that would be kind of that's kind of a crazy story. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I want to connect this to the podcast without it being too outlandish because it is very different. Not everybody's going to enjoy it, and that's okay. That's why we're going to put it at the end of the podcast.
Yes.
So, yeah. Just to clear my biases, it will be, a socialist perspective. So,
That's
at the very
fine.
least.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, if there's any topics we will both want to cover, Jerry can bring someone up and we can discuss random things. So, it's going to be loose. I don't want it to be, like, lecture heavy or
Sure.
I'm on this pedestal, like, preaching to people because that's not fun. There's
No.
enough podcasts out there that do that, better than I will ever be able to do. So, some weeks will probably be heavier than others. I famously do not write anything down, so I will have to start doing that for this segment. So I'm going to challenge myself there.
Yeah.
Usually I can be pretty good with topics once I get rolling, but I'd rather have bullet points so I don't miss anything. Because if I'm going to be talking the things I'm going to be talking about, I need to at least have some solid sources and backing. So
Sure.
not as easy as just talking about music, because
No.
that's very subjective. But Yeah,
Yes.
so I got a list of topics kind of. Next week I might dive right into the deep end, or I might, you know, chill a little bit. I know the May Day holiday is next Monday, so I could do a May Day segment. I think that could be really interesting. I don't think a lot of people know about that.
I don't.
Exactly. Or I can dive right into monopolization and how that relates to basically everything we talked about,
That, yes, that
and
would
how it
be,
relates to the entire political economy.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, yeah, I mean, Marxism covers philosophy, social issues, economy, politics, everything. So there's a million things. I'm just going to try to keep things that are pertinent to the podcast without deviating too much. But there might be weeks where it's like there's really something in my mind that I want to talk about. So
Sure.
it'll be kind of open ended. But
Yes, I think that is good because you are definitely more educated on that stuff than I am. And I mean, I feel like I express my distaste for the studio system and how everything is set up right now. So it would be nice to get some insights
yeah, and I mean,
from.
people know our politics already. We kind of sprinkle them in throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
Some subtly, some not subtly at all. But yeah, I mean, I feel like once I learn all this, my next step is to actually teach the people around me, or at least nudge them
There you
to be
go.
like, hey, here's some ideas that you probably have not thought about. Especially after kind of getting to a point where I'm confident in my ability to do that, you start realizing how politically illiterate America is in general. So we're kind of starting at like step negative 30 as Americans in terms of like understanding actual global politics. So
Yes,
there's a lot
yes.
of backwards work that we have to do to get there. But it's not going to be like a one-on-one course or anything. I can provide great resources for all of that if anybody's interested later on. But
Yes.
I think we'll just have some fun with some news stuff. We'll go into some crazy stuff. I'll try to sound not like a conspiracy theorist. Um,
I mean, it's kind of
I'm not.
hard with
It is
how
kind of hard because
everything
some of these
is.
things are really insane.
Yes.
But I'll keep it tame because there are some very there's topics I'd love to cover, but they are very unpopular. So it'd be kind of hard to navigate that.
I
But
don't
we'll
know
see.
when we have cared about doing
No, yeah,
things
true.
that people care about.
True.
Yeah.
It's just it will be it's stuff that where it's like, okay, the vast majority of the public is going to be like, what are you talking about?
At least the American public.
At least the American public, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking we'll probably move music around in the podcast starting next week, just so I'm not at the very end. We can probably sprinkle music in somewhere random in the middle, just so we both get
Sure.
a break from
That's, yeah.
talking nonstop.
Fair. Fair.
But then this will bookend the podcast. So if you're not interested at all, you can click off and you won't miss anything. So
There you go. Yeah. I guess if we're in like small little update corner, just because this is episode 199. Where last time we hit 100, we completely redid how we were doing the podcast. I would say episodes 1 through 99 are pretty much useless.
yeah,
That was
we have
pretty.
not purged them yet, but we probably should.
We probably
We can private
should. Yeah.
Private, just for record keeping.
Yeah, it's it's fine. Nobody's watching them anyways, but
No.
that was pretty much just three white boys talking about their
The
lives.
stereotype. It's
Yes,
the Fortnite table meme.
it is. I saw a tweet the other day that was like this. I think it was like a crypto bro who's like, I'm gonna try setting up some IRL podcast where like me and my buddies are just gonna get together, no recording, and we're just gonna talk. And then like someone responded like, you just discovered hanging out. Like Tech Bro has discovered what hanging out is. Which so that was pretty much our podcast. Was just
Yes.
sitting
Yeah,
around.
there was nothing of value really.
No.
We were all bored.
Yes.
And we wanted to make something.
And this was pre-COVID.
Yes.
This was, I think,
like
I don't
2019, like February of 2019.
think so. I don't think we were in high school. I think it was
No,
after
I
we
was definitely in
graduated.
college. Yeah.
Yeah. But, we were just starting off. I think we started it when I was in community college. And I think, some of that is a little interesting for me just because it did document my time in film school.
Hmm.
But
I mean,
I,
they're cool like timepieces for us personally,
yeah,
but
it's,
anybody else watching is gonna get zero
yeah,
entertainment
I,
value out
I
of them.
don't think anyone else cares.
Yeah.
So, it's probably good for us. But then once we hit episode 100, I made this note document that I have been using ever since, where I've been keeping track of entertainment stuff, which we were talking about entertainment stuff before that. But it was like, oh, the Nintendo Direct happened. I guess we can
Hmm.
kind of talk about that. And then, like, I would have to, like, think about what
On the
happened, try
fly.
to remember what
Yeah.
what was going on. So yes, I became more organized, and this became more or less a entertainment news podcast. And now I'm thinking we might want to redo everything again.
Yeah.
Not completely getting rid of the news segment,
It'll just
but
be a little different. You'll still get the same value that you usually get from these. It'll just be a little bit different.
yes, I don't know if I want to necessarily talk about everything, because I feel
Hmm.
like sometimes we talk about a bunch of stuff that, you know, even stuff that like may not even come into fruition, or I don't know, just like stuff that I'm not super passionate about or something, but I feel obligated to talk about because, well, this is a entertainment news podcast. I feel like I gotta talk about it. So maybe we're maybe lessening the news and probably increasing the levels of reviews and stuff, which I don't know how that sounds to you, but
Yes, sir.
okay.
I mean, I'm done with it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. Once I'm about, I guess, a little bit of life update. I am getting ready to graduate. Uh, I mean, hopefully, I was accused of using AI for one of my
Yeah.
essays,
Get out now while you can.
which may flunk me in that class, which I did not use AI. Frankly, I don't even know how, but this guy, the guy who accused me, my professor, seems to already assume that I am guilty,
Great.
just in the way that he is talking to me. So hopefully, I will still graduate in the middle of May, and then I should have more time on my hands to watch movies and TV shows. I need to get caught up on Succession. Barry just started too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch that. Then I think The Bear is coming out in maybe a month or two, and I know that one's gonna be top priority. That I need to. I'm so pumped for that, but yeah, I definitely need more time, and maybe I'll write more notes about how I feel about these movies, because I'm not doing that now, and I don't know how good of a reviewer I am. I do need to get better at that, but yeah,
Go to art college.
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
I know how to critique other people's works, but I'm not really used to critiquing long form content like movies. I can critique an image or critique an essay or something, like a script, but it's a little hard to critique visual mediums, at least for me. So I'm going to try to get better at it. So yeah, the podcast will probably going through some maybe might be going through some growing pains in the early 200s. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see if
But
I actually write something down or if I procrastinate and then just have to off the dome do this.
well, if you want, you can always use the note document because it is in our shared email. So, and if you want to look at what I have written down and base your segment off of what I'm going to be talking about, you could always do that too. So it's called brand integration. That's not what that's called.
No.
But Babby can talk about that in one of his
Yes, I
communist
can.
manifestos.
Yeah, one of my multiple.
Multiple.
I'm not gonna be spitting theory at you all day long. I swear.
Okay.
That's boring.
I
You
was
gotta apply it.
I was
The
just
applications where the fun part starts.
yeah. No. I am excited. I think it's going to be good. I am
Me too.
looking forward to the new and improved Boy Time podcast.
With updated visuals if I have time.
Well, maybe. I don't know. We're probably due for a new theme song at least.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably due for a new thumbnail. I think we've been using this one for
Hot minute.
a long time, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. We're going to get stuff done. We're going to change some stuff, but for right now, I guess this is going to be an end of an era. We'll see what happens. It's probably not going to be completely different next week, but
Post-Paul era,
the post-Paul era.
officially.
It's not official. I don't
know.
He's just
I don't know
busy.
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah. So next week gonna be a little different. But I think that's exciting. So look forward to that. But until then, bye.